Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Brahmanande, Hari Hari Bol. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Maharaj.
Jai Om Vishnupad Padamansa Parivraj Kacharya Stotra Satashi Shmad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kunigiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navadip Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Gangamai Ki Jai Jamunamai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Gaur Premanande.
Hare Hare Bol. Thank you, Maharaj. And welcome to all of you for this evening's lecture series by His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj from Towaco. We thank you all for joining and encourage you to keep coming. We also encourage your participation. If you have any questions or comments, feel free at the right time to either raise your hand using the raise hand feature, or you can unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can put your question or comment in the chat box, whatever works for you. So today we are on chapter 19, verse number 20. So Canto 1, chapter 19, verse number 20. If you'd like to follow along, thank you very much. Shri Prabhupada ki
Jai. Thank you very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashrita Deshatarane Tansha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you all very much. There's some news about Krishna's pastimes from Kendra Prabhu, but maybe I'll hold off and see if he joins us. Otherwise, remind me and I'll fill you in because he's filled me in. We're continuing to hear about King Parikshit. The sages had all praised Maharaj Parikshit's decision to give up everything, take shelter of the Ganges, and simply fast until death, seeking the blessings of the sages and the Lord. Now, the sages say, Navaha idam rajarshivarya chitram bhavatsu krishnam samanuvriteshu gedyasanam rajakirita jushtam sadyo jahur Bhagavat Parshvakama, the king had decided to give up his kingdom sajja, just like that. Sajja means at once, just immediately give up his kingdom, which was Rajakirita Jushtam. He gave up the throne, which was decorated with the helmets of many kings. In other words, so many kings were subordinate to Parikshit Maharaj. He was the emperor. And the sages, Rajarshi Varya, the best of the sages, said that this isn't surprising. Tavachitram. We're not surprised about this. Why not? Bhavatsu Krishnam Samanu Vriteshu. Because you're the best of the Pandavas who are Krishna Samanuvrateshu. Anuvrata means strictly following. Samanuvrateshu. Samanuvrata, completely following, strictly following in the line of Krishna. And Bhagavat Parshvakama, everyone has desires. So what are your desires? Bhagavat Parshvakama, to be at the side of Krishna. Parshva means the side. Bhagavat Parshva, to have the association of Krishna. That's your desire. You, Prabhupada comments, foolish politicians who hold political administrative posts think that the temporary posts they occupy are the highest material gain of life, and therefore they stick to these posts even up to the last moment of life, without knowing that achievement of liberation as one of the associates of the Lord in his eternal abode is the highest gain of life. People don't know what life is for, what life can give, what the ultimate purpose is. They just get some post, some position, some situation, and they stick to it. It may be a post, it may be a job, it may be an apartment, it may be whatever it is, but this is it. But the devotee like Parikshit Maharaj, who had, we're attached to some small thing, some small post, some small situation. He was the king of the world with so many other kings bowing before him, so many helmets placed at his feet. King of Hastinapur. And Sadhya, he just gave it up. Sadhya Jabu gave it up quickly for the sake of becoming the servant or the associate of Krishna. The Pandava kings, who were more than many saints of the world, knew the bitter results of the materialistic way of life. Prabhupada has quoted Prahlad Maharaj about the grinding stone of material existence. And the sages, the Pandavas, knew it. So they weren't captivated by the glare of the imperial throne they occupied. And they sought always the opportunity of being called by the Lord to associate with him eternally. All right, we'll do our business here, we'll do our service, we'll perform our prescribed duties, but our real objective is to regain the association of the Lord. We'll just do our work here until he calls us, and then we'll go, and we'll be happy to go. Not that we're establishing our stronghold here in the material world. We'll do our service, but we're keen to go. Maharaj Yudhisthira gave up. Parikshit was the worthy grandson of Maharaj Yudhisthira. Maharaj Yudhisthira gave up the imperial throne to his grandson, and similarly, Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of Maharaj Yudhisthira, gave up the imperial throne to his son, Janamejaya. That is the way of all the kings in the dynasty, because they're all strictly in the line of Lord Krishna. We've discussed this in previous sessions, that the devotees of the Lord, in strictly following in Krishna's line, are unattached, and therefore they responsibly hand things over. They know that we'll go. It's our duty to go. It's our obligation. We have no choice but to go. And before going, we'll hand things over. We won't hold on to the last moment like the foolish politicians. Like when the Prabhupada said, as soon as the notice is there, the devotee makes plans to go. Or even before the notice is there, he knows the notice will come. So let me make my plan to go back to Godhead, to regain the association of the Lord. Parshvakama, that's the real desire. Not the desire to stay here forever, but the desire to go back to Godhead. Sometimes we hear that a pure devotee like Prahlad Maharaj, no, I don't want to go to the kingdom of God. I just want to serve you. Prabhupada said, we want to go. We're not Prahlad Maharaj. We want to go. Any questions so far, comments? Okay. Sarve vayam tavad ihasmahe ta kalevram yavad aso vihaya lokam param virajaskam vishokam yasyachayam bhagavata pradhana. Maharaj Parikshit is Bhagavat Pradhan, first class devotee of the Lord, foremost devotee of the Lord. And as he had decided to fast on till the time of his death, the sages had decided to stay there with him until that time. Sarve vayam tavad, until that time, iha asmahe ata, we'll stay here. Where from one point of view, they're showing their support for the king. We're with you. Or as Prabhupada comments, it's rare to get the association of such a devotee of Parikshit Maharaj. Even for great sages, not all the sages are described as being great devotees. They were sages. They may have been devotees of one caliber or another, but Bhagavat Pradhana, Parikshit Maharaj, is the foremost devotee, first-class devotee. And therefore the sages wanted to have his association. Prabhupada comments on that at the end, that when a great devotee of the Lord passes away, there's nothing to be lamented, because the devotee is destined to enter into the kingdom of God. But the sorry plight is that such great devotees leave our sight, and therefore there's every reason to be sorry. As the Lord is rarely to be seen by our present eyes, so also are the great devotees. The great rishis, therefore, correctly decided to remain on the spot till the last moment. They didn't want to lose the association of the opportunity to associate with Parikshit Maharaj as long as they had it. Kalevram yavad aso vihaya. So until he gives up his body, lokam param virajaskam vishokam, who's yasyati, until he returns to that supreme planet, which is virajaskam and vishokam, completely free from material contamination and completely free from all kinds of vishokam, shokam, all kinds of lamentation. The material world is full of lamentation. It's a contaminated place. But the spiritual world, the Parvyom, the spiritual sky, is the supreme place. Om Tat Vishnu, Paramam Padam, Sada Pashanti Surya. So the sages knew that this is where Maharaj Parikshit would go. And so they all decided to stay with him to the last moment. Any questions here so far or comments? Tata Chava Pritcham Imam Viprichche Vishrabhya Vipra Iti Krityatayam Sarvatmana Mriyamanashchakrityam Shuddham Chatatra Amrishata Bhiyukta. This is the essential question. Oh, trustworthy Brahmins, yes, Vishrabhya, trustworthy. I now ask you about my immediate duty. Please, after proper deliberation, tell me of the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances, and specifically of those who are just about to die. Srila Prabhupada comments that the rest of the Bhagavatam practically is a response to these two questions. What is the duty of everyone in all circumstances? And specifically, what is the duty of a person about to die? And Prabhupada says the most important question is the one about dying, because everyone is a dying man. Everyone is a dying man. And therefore, this is the relevant question. What should I do? What should I do? The Niyamana for a person who's going to die, Krityam. What's Krityam Shuddham? What is the perfectly correct conclusion? What is the perfectly correct conclusion? What should I do? This is Amrishata, by complete deliberation. Tell me, Abhiyukta, what is the most suitable engagement for me? This is so intelligent. So intelligent. People don't know. I did an interview one time when I was with BTG. I interviewed a devotee girl who had been a nurse, and she was telling how she came to Krishna consciousness. She was on the ward, and there was an old lady who suddenly knew that she was dying. She was, I forget what the symptoms were, but nurse, I'm dying. What should I do? And the girl said, well, I don't know what you should do. And then the woman died, and the nurse was doing the needful with body bags and all of that sort of thing. And she was thinking to herself, what should I have told her? What should I have told her? And she realized that she didn't know what it is that a dying person should do. And that's the plight of the ordinary materialistic person. He's desperately attached to this world, to family especially. Prabhupada, I was hearing just this morning, Prabhupada was telling the story about Lord Chaitanya being caught in the net by the fishermen at Puri. The fishermen caught Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the net, and touching the body, he became ecstatic. So he was thought he'd gone mad. He thought he'd gone mad. And then he was thinking, if I become mad, who will take care of my wife and children? So Prabhupada took it as an illustration of this point, that even though he was touching the body of Lord Chaitanya, he was in ecstasy, so many things, but still he was thinking, who will take care of my wife and children? So we're so much absorbed in these things, or what's the word? These things so much define our lives. They're so important in our lives that this is where our attention goes. This is where our attention goes. Home is where the heart is. So even a great devotee may still have such attachments. And the ordinary person, for him, this is everything. So when he's being forced to leave, he doesn't know what else there might be. He has no conception of a clear higher purpose. Maybe he'll hope that he'll go to heaven. Maybe he has, but even for the most part, it's just, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. But a person who's advanced in Krishna consciousness, yes, Krishna is calling me, let me go. And let me fix my mind on Krishna. Let me be absorbed in devotional service. These are the thoughts of the pure devotee. For transcendental realization, the Manusyanam Sahasreshu had so many. Someone is interested in spiritual realization. And then there are different classes of philosophers. Some are thinking about karma kanda, some are thinking about jnana kanda, some are thinking about yoga siddhi. But the perfect conclusion, shuddham, is to be engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. First class method demands that one give up all other methods and surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus be saved from all the sins and their reactions. Any questions or comments here? I see that Kendra has joined us. We were discussing last week, the question came up. We were talking about retirement. We were talking about, yes, retirement from one's prescribed duties, family duties, occupational duties. And Kendra brought up that even Krishna, it seemed, had at one point retired from the business of killing demons and so on. And I said, yeah, maybe it doesn't stand out in my mind any reference about that, but he's done the research and could report to us about his findings. Oh, Kendra. Oh, Kendra.
I see he is joined, but maybe it's not here.
Maybe he stepped away.
It's possible.
Okay, let's see.
Maybe I can ping him.
If you could send him a note, tell him when he sees it, raise his hand or something like that, because it's valuable research. Okay. Anything else here so far? Okay. So this same question, by the way, appears twice in this section of the Bhagavatam. The question has just been placed before the sages. What do you think? Consult among yourselves. What should I do? But it will be placed again before Sri Shukadev Goswami, who's now will now appear. Tatrabhavad Bhagavan Vyasaputra Yadrichchaya Gam Ajamano Ajamano Napeksha Alaksha Lingo Nijalava Tushto Vritascha Balayar Avadhuta Vesha. And now the Vyasputra, the son of Vyasadev, appears on the scene. Bhagavan Vyasaputra, the powerful son of Vyasadev. Yadrichchaya Gam, who had been traveling on the earth, Ajamanaha Gam Yadrichchaya, as he desires. Yadrichchaya. Gam Ajamana. Anapeksha. Unattached, not, and anapeksha also means not dependent on anyone. Later, Shukadev Goswami will say that don't the rivers provide water? Don't the caves provide a place of residence? Aren't your arms suitable for serving as a pillow? Aren't there places to lie down? Don't the trees provide bark for clothing, or the fruits and other such things? Doesn't nature provide everything that we need? So why then should the vairagis, the sannyasis, flatter rich men for maintaining themselves? This is the conviction of a person in the renounced life, or the advanced devotee of the Lord. Rakshasyati iti vishvasho bhokritve varanam tata. Krishna will protect me, Krishna will maintain me. ISKCON may or may not maintain me. I may or may not get a pension. This or that may not be in place. My insurance may or may not kick in. but Krishna will maintain me. Krishna is maintaining every living being. The Prabhupada points that out. The ant gets his grain of sugar. The elephant gets his ton of sugar. Krishna's arrangement is there. So we make so many arrangements, but finally, a devotee of the caliber of Shukadev Goswami thinks that I don't need to depend on anyone. A less advanced person is very much concerned with security. So many arrangements for security, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Ahara, nidra, bhaya. So this bhaya is defending or security, just like the army is called your security force, or your bodyguards, security, called security. So we have our arrangements for security, which first of all are insecure. That Sukadev Goswami will also say, Atman San Yeshva Satsvapi. Our security arrangements are fallible. But the devotee thinks that Krishna will, I just have to depend on Krishna. I don't need to make an arrangement for making sure I've got some rich disciples, or to make sure that I've stashed away some money. Now I'm serving, but I have to make sure that I get enough money for my service so that I'll have a nest egg, or I'll have something to fall back on. The pure devotee in the advanced stage thinks, let me depend on Krishna. Even Raghunath Das Goswami, he was the son of, only son of wealthy Jamandars. And even after he renounced and went to Puri, his father and uncle were sending him a monthly stipend. They sent some servants with money and instructions to see to his welfare. And at first, he was accepting it and spending it for to invite devotees for a nice feast, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other devotees. He would spend the money that way. But then later he thought that I've accepted renounced life, and I'm still dependent on, I'm still accepting money from my family. No, I don't want this. So he gave it up, sent them back. Then he was, how is he eating? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asking his secretary, how is Raghunath eating? No, he's standing at the Singhadwar with the beggars, and he's getting his food that way. But then after some time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I don't see Raghunath anymore by the Singhadwar. No, he thought that I'm standing here just like a prostitute. Well, maybe this person will favor me. Maybe that person will favor me. This person didn't give me anything, but maybe that person will give me something. So now he's given that up, and he's accepting only the grains from the drain from the kitchen at the Jagannath temple. And those old rotten grains, he's washing them off very carefully, and then he's taking that. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Raghunath. Raghunath, you're not inviting me anymore. I hear you're taking very nice prasadam. Then he was snatching those grains. My lord, that's not fit for you. What do you mean not fit? It's Jagannath prasadam. Just to encourage him. Of course, we're not Raghunath Das Goswami. We can't imitate. We can't pretend that we'll also live like that. But the idea is to have that conviction that finally everything is in Krishna's hands. I have to depend on Krishna. And particularly when one enters renounced life, one has to have that conviction. I can go anywhere. I can go anywhere. Just like Prabhupada, he had his arrangement, but then he picked up and left. Vrindavan. Later, he had his nice arrangement in Los Angeles. He picked up and left. He started traveling in different parts of the world. Nice global headquarters at Los Angeles. Nice apartment, so many devotees. And he left. So this is the position in renounced life. One should have that conviction. And here, Sukadev Goswami had that. So unapeksha, so uninterested. He had no stake in anything. That if I preach to this person, he'll maintain me. If I preach to this person, he'll feed me. Unattached, disinterested. And Alakshalinga, he didn't. He was the signs of his pure devotion were unseen. Didn't manifest any symptoms of belonging to any social or status of life. We have what one sociologist, Erik Erikson, calls our identity kit. What clothes you wear, how you wear your hair, what kind of ornaments, what kind of shoes, then how you speak, everything's, we form an identity that we project to the world. Certainly a king has a real identity with a throne and a scepter and royal dress and so on. And a priest, even sannyasi, has his saffron dress. In the Catholic Church, they have these vestments, really quite impressive ecclesiastical dress. Every religion, they have some. The imams, the priests, they have some dress by which you know this person's a priest and this person is this or that. And you can see also sort of like the airline pilots or any military person, how many stripes does he have on his shoulder? So you know if he's the captain or on their sleeve is the captain, is the co-pilot. Some sign, what is their position? What is their position? But Sukadev Goswami, Alakshalinga, no sign. And as for clothes, Avadhuta Vesha, Prabhupada translate this as being neglected by others. And another meaning is that he was wearing the clothes of an Avadhuta. Avadhuta, a person who's like above all the orders of life, just like the wind, just free flowing. And here Avadhuta Vesha means the clothing of an Avadhuta, which, as we'll find in the next verses, means nothing. He was not wearing anything at all. So he was Nijalabha Tushta, satisfied within himself. Yadrichalabha Santushta, Dvanvatito Vimatsaraha, Samasiddha Visiddho Cha. What's the last line? Someone can find it for me. Kritvapi na labhyate, something like that. The Yadrichalabha Santushta, the sign of a self-realized person. He is satisfied with whatever comes on its own. He doesn't aspire that I only have this, but if I had that. whatever comes. Yadricha lava santushta, he's completely satisfied. Because dvandvatito, he's beyond all dualities. And vimatsara, he's not envious. This person has more than me, this person has better than me. The materialists, maybe we don't feel it as much as devotees. As devotees, maybe we don't feel it as much, but the materialists especially are so envious that this person has more. He went to a better college. He has a better car. His wife is more aristocratic. He's got a better job. He's got a better post. Envious. This person has more than me. Matsara. But nirmatsaranam satam, the devotees are vimatsara, free from envy. Free from envy. Devotees means at least we're trying to become free from envy. Perfect devotee, that's his sign. Free from envy. And the practicing devotees are at least moving in that direction. They want to be free from envy. They recognize that this envy is one of the obstacles, kam, krodh, lobh, mada, moha, matsarja, envy. But nirmatsaro pujita, therefore his ideal is the Goswamis, who were not envious of anyone. Nirmatsaro pujita. If we find someone who's truly non-envious, he's worthy of worship. So that was Sukadev Goswami. Yadricha lava santushta. Samasiddha vasiddhocha. Such a person is equal in, there it is, thank you, Panchatattva. In happiness, or in perfection, or in success or failure, siddha, asiddha. So even while he's acting in this material world, nanibhadyate, he's never entangled. This is the spirit of the devotee. He may be a sannyasi, he may be a grihastha, he may be in any order of life, but he practices this mentality to be satisfied with what Krishna sends, to be unconcerned with the petty dualities of the material world, to leave aside envy, to treat success or failure with equanimity, because of being situated with his eyes on Krishna, with the goal of going back to Krishna. So Sukadev Goswami, Nija, let's see, turn the page back. My hands are too dry. Nijalabha Tushta and Vritascha Balai. And he was surrounded by children. We see this, that in villages, especially, if anything unusual happens, then all the children gather, all the women gather. Men are working, of course, but the children are maybe a little idle, and the women may be doing their village chores. And when something's unusual, then they all gather. When our Padayatra was traveling, the children would see, there's an elephant, and they would all gather. And women would come, children would come. And the Sukadev Goswami, as we will see, he's a very unusual person. Not your ordinary citizen. And so they were childishly gathering around him. Ooh, 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 ooh. Anyone, like that also happened on Padayatra. We would go to some districts, and because we had foreigners, Westerners, it was like, oh my goodness, everybody wanted to see what the foreigners were doing. You'd be like brushing your teeth or taking your bath, and there'd be like 20 kids, just staring, just staring at this white-bodied creature taking a bath. So here, Sukadeva Goswami, he's a young boy. He's naked, and he's very unusual. So he was a topic for the children. He didn't undergo any formal initiation, no spiritual initiation, no reformatory process. Anapecha krityam. When Sutta Goswami begins to speak, he'll say that yam pravrajantam anapeta peta krityam dvaipayano viraka. That he just left home, Shukadeva Goswami, without undergoing any formalities, without any initiation, without anything. He just left. He just left. So at his stage, nothing was required, no reformatory methods. But he'd already been liberated by the grace of his father, Vyasadeva. He was neglected by the general populace, and inquisitive boys and women surrounded him as if he were a madman. He thus appears on the scene while traveling on the earth of his own accord. Then Prabhupada also mentions, it appears that upon the inquiry of Maharaj Parikshit, the great sages were not unanimous in their decision as to what was to be done. For spiritual salvation, there were many prescriptions according to the different modes of different persons. Someone is suggesting karma yoga, someone's suggesting pious activities, someone's suggesting tapasya, someone's suggesting atmagyan. All the different sages, these are sages. Nasavrishirasya matam nabindam. Every sage has to have a different idea. So the sages were like that, not quite decided. But then, in the midst of all this, Shukadeva Goswami appears. I wonder if Akendra Prabhu has...
No, there's something wrong. I just chatted with him on the side. He had to rush for some other family emergency. So he's connected here, but he's not really there.
I see.
So that's why he had to...
So I'll report to you his research.
Okay.
We talked about Krishna retiring from killing demons at a certain stage. So in 10th Canto, chapter 80, text 11, in this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments that since Lord Krishna had at this point put aside his weapons, he no longer traveled outside his own capital of Dwarka. That must be Sudama. Sudama's, yes, the Brahmin's wife in Krishna book. I've heard that he never leaves his capital city, Dwarka. He's living there without outside engagements. So he's stopped killing demons. 1078:17, after killing the demon Vidurata, Lord Krishna put aside his weapons. But Lord Balaram still had to kill Romaharshan and Balval to finish relieving the earth of her burden of demons. So even Krishna, at a certain stage, retired from some of these duties. All right, are there some questions here now?
Yeah, we have some questions lined up here. So the first one is Santosh Chaitanya Prabhu, followed by Athena. Santosh Chaitanya Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Hare Krishna Maharaj. Sorry, the light is not very good in this room, so
You have an effulgence of your own.
my wife is helping me to reduce my
Your
effulgence.
wife is your effulgence.
So Maharaj, my question is, you gave a example of Raghunath Das Goswami,
Hmm.
who had a lot of money, and mm, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself, was present that time, but he was still renouncing the money.
Still
He was still renouncing the money. He had
renouncing?
the money,
Yes.
and the money was easily available, and Krishna himself was there. And on the other hand, when we talk about Prabhupada, uh, he had no money easily available, and he had no Krishna himself there, and he was accepting donations from all around the world. And so uh, I don't know how to differentiate between these two moods. Of course, both are pure devotees and both wanted to serve Krishna. But in the one mood, the Raghunath Das Goswami is renouncing the money, and in other mood, Prabhupada is accepting the money.
Because Prabhupada is establishing an institution. For his own, Raghunath Das Goswami wasn't establishing anything. Of course, he was establishing Saddharma Samstapako, writing books and so on. Later that came. But at this point, he's simply giving up the world and doing bhajan. So then he doesn't need his father's money, his uncle's money. He has no use for it, really. It's an attachment, just like Sanatana Goswami. He met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sanatana had traveled through the jungles of Jharkhand, and when Tapan Mishra looked outside the door, is there some sadhu there? He didn't see a sadhu, he saw like a fakir. He looked so strange, and he'd been traveling. So practically, he'd given up everything. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that on his shoulder there was a nice chadar, which his brother-in-law along the way had given him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sort of looking at that, like, you've taken up the life of a sadhu, and still you're wearing this like, Lalimli chadar. So Sanatana Goswami could understand it, and therefore he exchanged it for an old, torn job. So for a person who's living like that as a sadhu, no need. But when you're trying to establish a spiritual movement, when you're trying to establish, a worldwide society of devotees, when you're trying to build temples and so on, then you need money. Prabhupada said land, capital, men, all of these things. For himself, Prabhupada, sometimes he was living, in Bombay in very aristocratic quarters, and sometimes he was living with Gaura Govinda Maharaj in a hut in Bhubaneswar. So he wasn't attached to nice arrangements. He wasn't, nor was he dependent on this person or that person. But for spreading the Krishna consciousness movement, he accepted money, he solicited money for Krishna's service, not for his own necessities. Is that okay?
Yeah, Maharaj. So I have the follow-up question is, so what is the criteria to choose which path? We may choose Raghunath Das Goswami's path or Prabhupada's path. Because that time also, when the Goswamis were there, that time also there was a need to establish a whole institution.
Yeah,
And
Prabhupada didn't encourage us to try to be like Raghunath Das Goswami, to imitate Raghunath Das Goswami, Haridas Thakur, just to live, in that way, just chanting Hare Krishna. He encouraged us to try to save others. Naivod Vijay, Paraduracha Yadvaitaranya. Prahlad Maharaj says that I don't want to go back to Godhead alone. I want to bring others. I don't want to leave them here. So that was Prabhupada's mood, and that was the mood that he, toward which he directed us. The last words of Krishna book, if you go back and read them, they're directed toward that conclusion, that we're not meant just for our own bhajan, but we should try to spread Krishna consciousness.
Okay, Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And the householder also, he can't live like a sannyasi. Although almost, I mean, we've had householders who've lived practically like sannyasis. You know, our Malati was on the channel last night. When they went to England, they were living like sannyasis. They're living under bridges. They're living in old, warehouses and stuff. So even married couples with children, they're living like sannyasis and depending on whatever Krishna sends. So that's also, if we can do that, that's wonderful. But it's not expected that just to make a show we'll be, what's the word, negligent. One has to perform one's prescribed duties.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Something else?
Athena had a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Your voice a little soft, Athena. If you could speak up a bit, we can barely hear you.
Oh, I have the same problem as last time. I'm sorry, I think it's the headphones. Hopefully that's better.
Yes.
That is better.
I apologize. I have a couple questions, 3 questions actually, if that's okay. Hopefully they're not too long of answers. But my first one is around protection. And well, my first 2 questions are around protection and maintenance. So we know that's 3 and 4 of the 6 symptoms of surrender to Krishna. And so as a bhakta or practicing bhakta who's trying to strive for uttam bhakti, pure devotion, pure bhakti, is it bad in one sense or impure to pray for protection? You see Prahlad Maharaj not even praying for protection at all when his father's trying to kill him. But in one sense, devotees are supposed to take shelter in Krishna. If not, then they're taking shelter in Maya. So even say walking down the street and it's dark and then you feel a little scared, you might say a little prayer like Krishna, please protect me, or some please protect me. Is that, I'm not saying wrong, but impure? Is that considered not pure to actually pray to Krishna protection? Could we be like Prahlad? Is that?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chanting, Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahima. You please protect me. You please protect me. Of course, the real protection is please keep me engaged in your service. But even if we're in anxiety that, it's dangerous, I don't know if I'll get to to my car safely or something, then the devotee depends on Krishna for everything. Not because he's materially absorbed, but because it's natural. Just as a child depends on the mother, the child doesn't look towards strangers and even policemen. He looks to the mother, looks to the father. The devotee looks toward Krishna.
So that's not considered transactional in any way to ask for that protection. No. Okay, great. Thank
But actually, you don't have to ask. Krishna will protect you. But to ask is also, you please protect me.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question around maintenance. Symptom number 4 is having firm faith that Krishna is our maintainer and I think guardian. And so we understand that everything, especially in bhakti, is always twofold. One, it's our endeavors, and then next is Krishna's mercy and grace. So it's kind of like the Sistine Chapel, we're reaching out, and then Krishna also reaching out as well. But so in one sense, we understand, this is my understanding, you can't just sit back, twiddle your thumbs, and Krishna just gives everything. We have to endeavor in one sense. But then the question is, how do we know if we are over endeavoring and perhaps living in the mode of passion. And then is there such a thing to over endeavor in your service and over endeavor in in your service or even Krishna consciousness? Is there...
Well, two questions. So the first one is, how do we know? So therefore the direction of the spiritual masters there, the Shastras, the sadhus, the devotees. So just like Parikshit Maharaj, he's asking, what should I do? What's the right path? So the devotee doesn't think, I know everything. He asks the guru, he asks the sadhus, am I doing the right thing? Consults the Shastra. So that way he has triple guidance. He should know what to do. Then there was a second part of your question.
Is over
endeavor? So yes, there's over endeavor. Over endeavor for material things. That's certainly over endeavor. But you asked about devotional service. In general, I can say Prabhupada liked us to be over endeavoring. To overload, that you want to be overloaded with service is very good. More than you can do. Prabhupada gave that direction to the managers to give the devotees more than they can achieve. So they always have to be striving so that they don't, as you say, just kind of kick back and take it easy. There's always should be some spirit of, I have to achieve more, I have to do more. That's very healthy. So in that way. And then devotees, they'll do extraordinary things. They'll do extraordinary things for Krishna's service. But then sometimes by the guidance of the spiritual master or the devotees, we see that something is unachievable or unrealistic. And then, all right, you tried for it, but don't pursue that. But sometimes, and therefore the spirit, so how do you know? The spiritual masters there, when they were in Juhu, they were, living in the jungle practically, and such difficult conditions. And this cheater was trying to take back the land, and and it was way out in the outskirts of Bombay, where nobody was coming. And at some point, they thought that this is just over endeavor, where it's just too much. Where so much trouble for so little. We could be right in the heart of Bombay in the action, but then Prabhupada directed them, no, you stay there, and you don't give up. So in that way, over endeavor, when the spiritual master says it's over endeavor, then it's over endeavor. Or when the sadhus and so on.
Thank you. So we should always, in one sense, be over endeavoring in serving Krishna and our seva, unless the spiritual master says otherwise.
Yes, to push ourselves, to push ourselves is good. Not to the point where we're crazy and sick and falling apart, but to be pushing ourselves beyond what we think we can do.
And I'm sure that's how we grow as well.
That's how we grow. Yes.
And I've lost my last question is about, we're in Kali Yuga. And so as we know, then not many people believe in God or take to any religion or path. And so when you gave the story about the dying patient asking the nurse, I'm dying, what do I do? And she said, I don't know. So naturally, that means she herself was not taken to any sort of religion. But you can say the height of fear in this, or one of the biggest problems, is the fear of death. But there's a lot of other fears, and people seek out help. As a devotee, we are supposed to be examples of compassion. And of course, our natural, as devotees, you might say, take shelter in Krishna, pray. But if you say that and it falls on deaf ears, sometimes that does more harm than good. And if we're ultimately trying to help the person get through a tough time, or even say the person who's fearing death, and if the nurse said, think of Krishna, think of God, and she is an atheist or doesn't believe in God, what good does that do? In one sense, it's not a sense of compassion. So from a more practical perspective, I don't say practical perspective, but in those cases, when you make sense that the person doesn't take the path or believe in God, and saying what you would give, say, from your heart or to a devotee would not help. In those cases, what advice or what would you?
The devotee looks for some way. You know, if you say to the person, well, just fix your mind on God, the person, I don't even believe in God. But if you say, you know, calm down, let me give you a mantra.
Mm.
You know, just hear this sound. For example, you know, I don't care if you believe in God or not, but just, you know, you're going to, just at this time, just hear this mantra, it will help you. You know that, it's a simple thing. Otherwise, you can say, don't worry, you know, think of your children, you know, it's all useless. The devotee is thinking how to give real benefit to people. And this, of course, becomes a very big topic, how we should try to benefit people. We all know that we're supposed to give charity to people. Now, how do we give charity? How do we help people? That's, you know, we're already over time. And
I know, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much.
Go there. Thank you. I see that there are other questions. But we're out of time.
Oh, there's one question from Ekleshwari and Arvind. The hand is up.
Okay, it's two questions actually, but okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Danda Pranam. I'll ask only one question.
Okay.
Maharaj, when we are talking about, when you were saying about timely retirement.
About which?
A timely retirement of the Pandavas
Yes.
and Arjuna. But then we also hear that devotees don't renounce. They always engage in service. So in our
there's no timely renouncing service. But sometimes your service is to give up your other duties. Just like family life, that's my service. But at a certain point, it's no longer my service.
Okay.
Then I leave that and I take up my next service, or student life. That's my service. But then at some point, I give a contribution to my spiritual master. I get married. I go on with those things. So that's moving on. There's no question of giving up service, but service differs at different stages of our life. So the service of a sannyasi, you know, is different from the service of a householder. Service of a vanaprastha is different from that of a sannyasi or a householder. Everyone's service is different, and at a particular time, our service differs. And generally, the trajectory is toward detachment, detachment, detachment. In the later years, especially, even in householder life, detachment is wanted. But particularly, the vanaprastha and sannyasa ashrams are meant for detachment. And at that stage, our service doesn't stop, but it changes.
Okay.
Is that okay?
The priorities in service kind of changes.
Yeah, even like there's one elderly devotee in Fiji, Jagannath. When Prabhupada came there, he asked Prabhupada, what should I do? He was already elderly. His family were the biggest businessmen in Fiji practically. And Prabhupada told him, more jap. You know, chant more rounds. And told his wife that she should be always engaged in the service of the deity. You know, that was appropriate at that stage of their life. Prabhupada didn't say, you know, I have a big project and you should somehow gather funds and this, more job. At that stage for that person, that was the instruction. He didn't say give up service, but this is your service at this time. Is that okay?
Yes, Maharaj. Just last question, if I can, or else I'll ask tomorrow on Sunday.
Madan Gopal is the authority on these matters.
It's already 9:10, so if you can hold off till Friday, that would be great.
Yeah, sure.
Okay? This way we'll make sure that you come on Friday.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you
Dr.
very much.
Gopal had a question also, but
Oh, yes, I see that over there. Maybe we can hold that off till next Friday as well.
okay, Dr. Gopal, for you can hold that till Friday, and we can start with. If you bring it up at the beginning, we'll start with that.
All right. So
Okay,
just
what are the coming attractions?
attractions. So tomorrow, His Grace Ravindra Swarup Prabhu making his debut appearance on our channel. The topic is Back to Basics. So His Grace Ravindra Swarup Prabhu. And then Friday again, we'll continue today's session. So Friday at 8 o'clock with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. And then Saturday morning, we have a special appearance at 11 a.m. by His Grace Kripa Moya Prabhu from the UK. And Saturday at 8 p.m. in the evening is His Holiness Devamrita Swami. And on Sunday evening at 6 p.m. is His Grace Anuttama Prabhu. So these are the speakers for the rest of the week. So please stay tuned and please keep coming. And thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. If you like, you can say Hari Bol and good night.
Hari Bol Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Maharaj.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
So much again, Maharaj. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Oh, Gopal. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your association.
Thank you, Nilmani Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.